Hello and welcome to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe alongside Ronnie Dahl in the studios of Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM, our flagship TV and radio stations, here each and every day on the Oakland County Megacast. In addition, today, as always, we're joined by Birmingham Area Municipal Access, also on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99 in Birmingham, Bingham Farms, Beverly Hills, and the village of Franklin. On 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District with operations out of Bloomfield Hills High School. Thank you for joining us today on The Biff. And online in 3 different spots today, civiccentertv.com/watch-live, or click on our live player, the small little video player on our homepage, as well as on Facebook today. We're on both of our Facebook pages, Civic Center TV on Facebook.com/CivicCenterTV15, and Lakes F and the 89.3 Lakes FM Facebook page, Facebook.com/Lakes FM. And as always, joining me today in the Lakes FM studios is Ronnie Dahl.
Tyler?
Yes.
Allergy season is here.
It is. It hasn't hit me yet. I can tell it's starting to hit you a little bit. It hasn't hit me just yet, but it's coming. It's that change in temperature that usually does it, then the pollen coming in for the spring and summer season. It's going to hit all of us.
I never really had allergies at all growing up. And I remember when I worked in North Carolina, you would go out and the cars would be covered in pollen. Sorry. So then and everyone was talking about the pollen and the pollen factor and this, that, and the other. I'm like, what? Never bothered me until just a few years ago. And now this time of the year, my eyes will start to water. It's the sneezing, it's the coughing, and you get so concerned about coughing in public. Because you want to tell everyone it's allergies. It's not COVID.
Yeah, that's happened several times to me over the past year. The change of seasons, usually when there's a change in temperatures in particular, is when I sort of get my allergy flare-ups. And it's been that way throughout this pandemic, is saying, no, I'm not sniffling because of COVID symptoms. I can smell and I can taste just fine. Don't worry. I'm not coughing because I have COVID. I'm either clearing my throat because I spend all day talking, or because of the change of the season giving me allergies, or both. Don't worry. I'm fine. I'm also wearing a mask. You'll be okay.
Hey, so today is Good Friday.
It is.
And did you notice tomorrow's date?
I did not. Tomorrow is April 3rd. Yes.
4-3-2-1.
That's right. That is right. I didn't think about that.
So everyone's posting that on social media.
Very nice.
Keego Harbor Police Department put out a good one yesterday.
They did.
And I will say, when I first saw the post, I was like, well, we don't really need a helicopter. So what happened for April Fool's Day, the Keego Harbor Police Department put up a post with a picture of a helicopter that had photoshopped their logo and the new logo as well on the side of the helicopter, and said, hey, we now have a helicopter and, an aviation unit for our, 1 square mile little city there.
Yes.
And, but it looked really good. And then it went on to say, hey, we have sponsors that's going to help fund this. And you thought for a minute, I don't think we really need that. And then you were like, oh, it's a joke. But so many people didn't realize it was a joke. So this was all the talk yesterday in Keego Harbor. We all went out yesterday through the city because for opening day, instead of going downtown, we stayed here local. And everyone was talking about this. I will say, they did a really good job with the Photoshop.
They did. What lost me immediately on it, like, I saw the helicopter, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I started reading the post, and then I looked at the picture a second time, and what immediately lost me and made me realize this is obviously an April Fool's joke, other than, of course, the non-existent need for a helicopter in Keego Harbor for the police department, were these little things in the background here. If you're watching on TV, these mountains back there. I don't know about you, Ronnie, but I don't recall the last time I saw mountains in the great city of Keego Harbor. So that's what lost me. But great job too. I mean, the color scheme on the chopper, the logo they put on there, well placed. It is the Keego Harbor Police Department logo. At least it looked like my first couple of glances. So they did a really good job with that Photoshop job.
A lot of people, like I said, really did fall for this. So good one.
Yeah, very good one. Very good one. I didn't see a whole lot of great April Fool's jokes yesterday, especially from other outlets in our community. I saw one from the West Bloomfield Police Department of we got a new police Corvette for police chases, but then I was like, all right, it wasn't the helicopter.
No, did someone put out one about they got a new duck? Something about quack this up. I don't remember which police department, but I like to see that the police departments are doing things like this because it gives them a little bit of a sense of humor. Yeah. And it's all part of humanizing the badge to let people know that they may be in a uniform, but they are people as well. And so it's one way for them to engage with the community when things aren't bad.
Yeah, we hear so much about community policing. It's kind of the new buzz term in law enforcement, and we've definitely seen that in practice in West Bloomfield and in Keagle Harbor and in Sylvan Lake with the way that those departments operate each and every day, and seeing more departments in the local area take part in social media, communicate with the community, be a little more lighthearted than you really expect to see from your local law enforcement or any law enforcement agency. I think it's a good way to get out in the community, communicate with people, let them get to know your police department and your police officers, and vice versa, so that when you're out in the community and encounter a police officer, or when they encounter you, there's more familiarity there.
We all need a little humor right now.
We do. Not very funny times we're in.
Oh, and COVID is just not going away, it seems. So now the State Department of Health and Human Services here in Michigan said it has now confirmed the first case of a COVID-19 variant that formed in Brazil, making it the 5th variant found here in the state of Michigan. The P1 variant was identified in a Bay County resident during a routine test on Wednesday. So the Bay County Health Department has been notified. Now it is investigating the resident's exposure, the history, to try to attempt, to identify the source of the infection. So the P1 variant was first identified in travelers from Brazil during a routine airport screenings in Tokyo this past January. The variant has been associated with increased transmissibility, and there are concerns it might affect both the vaccine-induced and natural immunity, according to the state health department. So another concern here in the state of Michigan as the numbers continue to surge.
Yeah, and a new variant coming into play also has to be a major concern, because much like the B117 variant, the UK variant that's been in the state for several weeks now, this is also a higher transmissible form of COVID-19. I haven't seen anything from this article or read enough about it to know the implications of severity of symptoms in relation to regular COVID-19 that we've been dealing with, the novel coronavirus and the B117 variant from the UK. But the fact that these can spread so much quicker, we're already having a spike in the state of Michigan. People have been traveling for spring break, not necessarily out of the country, but within the country, and been a little looser maybe with their precautions against COVID. This only makes things more concerning. If they're able to contain this to the Bay County area, that's a little less concerning, but we've seen that before with the B117 variant down in Washtenaw and Lenawee counties, that containing these variants is not as easy as it would seem when you have just a couple of cases.
Yeah, so the CDC is expected to release some new travel guidelines. I think that's going to be coming out today or early next week, so we'll keep an eye on that. Right now they are saying don't travel. But yet we are seeing people travel in record numbers right now, and that could be one of the reasons behind the surge here in the state of Michigan, and we are still in the middle of spring breaks.
Right. Yeah, these spring breaks, particularly on the high school level, are still very much in process. It's staggered over several weeks. College spring breaks have pretty much wrapped themselves up, or for some that take theirs later, will be wrapping up too. So there's a lot of mixture of people, state to state, area to area, people traveling in and out of Michigan in particular, which has to be even further of a concern for the Department of Health and Human Services, for the governor, and for local health departments as well, as we continue to battle this recent spike in COVID cases in Michigan.
So Pfizer says its COVID-19 vaccine protects younger teens Pfizer announced that its COVID-19 vaccine is safe and strongly protective in kids as young as 12, a step toward possibly beginning shots in the age group before they head back to school in the fall. Most COVID-19 vaccines being rolled out worldwide are for adults who are at higher risk from the coronavirus. Pfizer's vaccine is authorized for ages 16 and older, but vaccinating children of all ages will be critical to stopping the pandemic and helping schools, at least the upper grades, start to look a little more normal after months of disruption.
My apologies, Ronnie. Sorry about that. All right. The allergy season's
Sorry
really
about
acting
that.
up. You know?
I'm telling you.
It's been bad. Yeah, it's only getting started too. So we're gonna see a lot more of that from people. She's fine. Don't worry. It's just allergies, people.
I know. Oh, see, my eyes are starting to water already.
No. You need me to take this one, Ronnie?
Go ahead. You can finish that.
All right. In the vaccine study of 2,260 U.S. volunteers ages 12 to 15, preliminary data shows that there were no cases of COVID-19 among fully vaccinated adolescents compared to 18 among those given dummy shots or placebos, Pfizer reported. Kids had side effects similar to young adults, the company said, and the main side effects are pain, fever, chills, and fatigue, particularly after the second dose. The study will continue to track participants for 2 years for more information about long-term protection and safety, which of course has been a concern across the board with these COVID-19 vaccines, but one of the reasons among many that Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others that have been producing vaccines throughout this pandemic have not lowered the age of people that should be okay to get these vaccines. Pfizer had, my apologies, I lost my spot there. Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech in the coming weeks plan to ask the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and European regulators to allow emergency use of the shots starting at age 12. Of course, it's going to have major implications for schools as kids continue to return back to more in-person learning here in the state of Michigan. A lot of school funding is dependent on keeping kids in school for at least 20% of the time, I believe that number is, and having shots be available to younger kids, in this case 12 to 15, that's middle school through early high school age, will certainly help to ease some of that tension that's in those environments with keeping COVID safety, particularly among the student to student and family to family, but also students to teachers and vice versa, as this Pfizer vaccine continues to be distributed widespread throughout the state of Michigan.
And I will say credit to some of these parents that are willing to allow their children to be a part of some of these studies, because there are other studies going on right now, Tyler, where kids as young as 6 months are being a part of the study to see that they can start to give this vaccine to more and more people.
Yeah, vaccines in younger children, especially other than those standard ones that you get shortly after in your infancy and in your early childhood, a lot of the concern is for the safety of these children as they're developing and with these vaccines being inoculated in them. And so for vaccines like the COVID vaccines that are still in their infancy, those are the kinds of precautions that these companies are wanting to take, and that the CDC and the FDA want these companies to be taking in order to ensure the safety for these children, which is why it's taken so long for us, even after the Pfizer vaccine was approved by the FDA for those 16 and older, for them to have enough information to say we are pretty sure as we can be this early on in the process, that for 12 to 15-year-old children and teens that this vaccine is safe.
Well, and it's going to be so important because we know one of the reasons we are seeing the spread right now in the state of Michigan has to do with the fact that so many of the kids are re-engaging in some of the sports.
Yes.
And the testing started, I believe, yesterday, where the state of Michigan is mandating more testing of the student athletes. There is a lawsuit that is starting up in the court system about that right now. And you wonder about, so if they don't have to get the test as often, if they can get a vaccine, that's going to help, I think, slow the spread of this disease.
Yeah, and relieve concerns too, as these high school sports throughout the rest of the winter season as we get into early spring and some of the indoor spring seasons as well. A lot of these sports are either working out indoors or are participating indoors. Spring sports are more so outdoors with track and field, baseball, softball, and the like. But that's still a concern because people are going to be in close proximity to one another, and the state has put stronger regulations in place for these indoor sports. So having kids be able, especially at these ages where they're playing these organized sports indoors, to be able to get vaccinated will make that a little easier, hopefully, for the situation in the MHSAA and these individual schools, keeping their student athletes active, but also not worrying about the spread of COVID in schools because of sports.
Well, and what type of test are they actually giving them as well? Because some of these tests are not pleasant to go through, especially if they're doing the nasal swab test. And if you have to do that every day, ouch.
Yeah, it was I've only had one COVID test throughout this pandemic. I've only had a need to get really one COVID test at all, and I did get the nasal swab, and it was an interesting feeling. It wasn't painful. It was just different, and I'm like, oh, I've never felt that sensation before. I wouldn't want to feel that sensation regularly either. It's very weird. So I do feel for these students, especially if that's the variation of this test these tests that they're getting every single day or several times a week just to be able to play sports. That can't be easy.
So everyone right now has been posting pictures on social media of their vaccination card. And we've been warning people, hey, don't do that because you're putting your personal information out there. But you do need to keep that card. So everyone who has been vaccinated against COVID-19 should have been given their vaccination record card after receiving their first shot. So right now, it's the only way someone can prove that they were vaccinated against the virus. What happens if you didn't get one, or maybe if you lost it? So the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services has information for anyone out there. So you can get a replacement card. I learned something new today, Tyler. So if you need to get a new vaccination card, you can request one through the Michigan Care Improvement Registry. I didn't even know this agency existed. So the first thing you should do is go back to wherever you had your vaccination and see if they can give you another one. But if not, you can go on to the website. It's mci.org, and you can request a new card, an official one. So keep in mind, these are official vaccination records, and we've all been vaccinated. When I went to Africa a few years ago, we had to get like a huge series of shots to be able to travel. But it was funny because you're not walking around with your vaccination card like everyone is with their COVID cards. So you're going to really need this. But the best thing to do is kind of take a picture of it and then put it in a secure place.
Yes.
But you can get a replacement. It's just not going to be a very quick process. Like, there's a form, you go onto the website, you print it off, and then you have to also attach official, like a photo ID to go with it as well. So just to keep in mind, Michigan vaccine providers are required to provide a record of the vaccination to the state's immunization system within 72 hours. So that means that once you receive your first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, it's going to be within the MCIR system within about 3 days. So something to keep in the back of your mind, because people are going to lose it.
Yeah, I mean, you lose a lot of important documents. You can lose anything pretty easily. You put it down somewhere, you forget where you put it down at the office, or after you got vaccinated, you put it down on a table somewhere, or you just put it in storage in your home and can't remember where it is, and you need it to travel or need it for some other reason. And this is one method that you can go through if you need to get a replacement for that, or just get a duplicate of it in case you may want to have multiples of it just in case you do lose one. This is a method to go through that. And of course, we have a direct link on this article, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. You just click on this hyperlink we have on Michigan Care Improvement Registry, MCIR, and it'll take you directly to that website.
Yeah, and then there are, it's pretty easy to navigate. I was on this morning, so That's good news to know, though. But again, I learned something new. I didn't even know this agency existed. The state of Michigan is one of the few that has this agency. So even if you got your shots like at your doctor, they're required to report it as well. So it's kept all in one place. So that's the good news. Hey, we're going to take a quick break here on the Friday edition of the Megacast. We have a big lineup for you ahead, and when we come back, we will kick off the show talking with a doctor from the Michigan Poison Center. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
COVID-19 has caused many families to fall behind on finances and on groceries. But you're not alone. You shouldn't have to worry about putting food on the table. MyBridges offers access to quality food and income assistance to help families across the state get the food support they need. It's easy to apply and easy to start shopping. Apply for services at michigan.gov/MIBridges. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Thank you for taking time out of your Friday to be with us here on the Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studio alongside Mr. Tyler Keith. So, Tyler, you didn't get the chance to watch the game yesterday.
No, I didn't get the chance. It was a pretty busy day over here at Civic Center TV, and with the game being on during the day, I wasn't able to tune in very much.
Not a very good opening day, though.
No.
At least we won. I mean, that's a good thing.
Good.
We won.
It was a nice win. Just underwhelming, not quite the festivities it always is. And then, of course, it was a snowy game. It probably wasn't the most fun thing for the players out there on the Tigers and on Cleveland. But, I'll take a win. We're on the road to 162-0.
You know what, watching all of the fans out there, by the way, that were bundled up because it looked so cold. And then we also know that the health department, the Detroit Health Department was out, and they were cracking down, doing compliance checks at all the restaurants in that downtown area. So there were a few restaurants that were cited throughout the day. But overall, hopefully next year is going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, hopefully next year is some normalcy or just entire normalcy. We'll be back, and we'll be able to have a lot of people downtown for opening day and celebrate that local holiday, let's call it, like we haven't been able to do the last 2 years.
Well, and with that, too, let's hope that it is springtime.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like spring.
No.
Yesterday it didn't, but the weather is going to be getting nicer this weekend. The Tigers are playing, I believe, again tomorrow, so it'll be a good day to get downtown and go to the ballpark, get outside. But I right now am in the middle of spring cleaning. It is that time of the year. But the other day I was cleaning my bathroom, and as you know, we just had our bathroom redone. It's been under construction for quite some time. And so when I was cleaning it, I was using various cleaning products and probably mixing things I shouldn't have been mixing, because all of a sudden the fumes were a little bit overwhelming. And that bathroom doesn't have a window, but I had to go through, open up some windows, and get out of the room. And, sadly, so many people right now do mix, and you can get sick from some of these things. And the good thing is we do have the Michigan Poison Center, and they have a 1-800 number that you can call when you go into these situations. So to talk so much more about this and other things to do with poison, let's bring in Dr. Varun Vohra. He is the Academic Director and Clinical Toxicologist for the Michigan Poison Center. Doctor, so great to have you with us again.
Hey, Ronnie. Hey, Tyler. How you doing?
So what is one of the biggest concerns for people there at the Poison Center this time of year?
Yeah, so around this time of year, especially Easter time, especially this weekend, one thing that comes to mind, chocolates, obviously they're going to be plentiful for the kids, right? So always beware, it could be a choking hazard for the kids, and especially around animals too. You know how dogs and cats can get into things like that, and we know inherently they're not good for dogs. So making sure that you keep them away, stored safely. And kids are taking chocolates from people that they know, especially adults that they know, and not eating anything that, from a stranger, obviously. Like you mentioned, cleaning products, that's always kind of ubiquitous this time of year. So like you mentioned, the story that you had in your bathroom. So, I mean, even mixing toilet bowl cleaner with things like ammonia or like bleach plus ammonia creates this compound. It's called chloramine. That's probably what you were exposed to. It highly volatile. So it creates these fumes that are really irritating to the sinuses. So it can cause you, to tear up, to cough, be kind of short of breath. So when that happens, the best thing to do is to kind of remove yourself from the situation, open a window if you can, ventilate the area or the door, make sure you get those fumes out. And then, in the garage as well, cleaning the garage, I'm sure, is going to be a big thing. There are a lot of different types of products and cleaners there. So you want to keep them up and away from children, especially. These things can be very attractive to children if they're open, especially even little sips of anything. So that's something like wheel cleaner. Can be very, very toxic and devastating. It has a compound called ammonium bifluoride in it, which can be heavily toxic and damaging to the airways, and potentially cause serious manifestations in the cardiovascular system as well. So things of that nature. There are a lot of dangerous things in the garage that we want to keep kids away from.
So, doctor, if I'm a parent and my child ingests something, obviously I call 911 first. Should I make another call to you and your agency while I'm waiting for those first responders?
Yeah, I think, typically, I think we would definitely recommend calling the Poison Center first, because sometimes the initial reaction is panic, right? From a parent especially. So to call the Poison Center first, because we have trained specialists who are answering the phones. We have trained, board certified toxicologists who they consult for higher level care. But a lot of times that Poison Center will be or can be an effective middleman right through between you and the first responders to decipher whether first response is even needed, whether the patient or the person needs to even go to the hospital, because sometimes things can be handled at the home pretty effectively. One thing we will continue to recommend, and we never recommend people inducing vomiting or making people vomit, because that can introduce a whole host of different issues, like aspiration of the vomit into the lungs, which can be a whole nother can of worms that can create a whole host of other issues. So calling the Poison Center, we're always here. Like you mentioned, the 800 number, it's 1-800-222-1222. Again, 24/7, 365. We have our specialists ready to go. So we can help you there with whatever you need.
So excuse me, I'm already learning something new, because that's one of the first things you would think, make them throw it up to get it out of their system. So there are so many of these things. I feel like when you become a parent, it needs to come with this guidebook, right? Yeah. You need to study and pass before, because, we have so many public service announcements around 911, and we teach young kids call 911. Do we need more of a public service platform to push for parents to become more aware of the Poison Center and the work that you guys are doing over there?
I think so, absolutely. I mean, what we've done recently in the past year, we've kind of upped our advertising. So the Michigan Poison Center has a new affiliation with Wayne State University School of Medicine as of August 2019. So that's been a huge boon for us. We've upped our advertising. We've had billboards in and around Metro Detroit, Lansing, Grand Rapids. We're going to continue to try and have another round there as well of a campaign. We have our new website, brand spanking new website, mipoisonhelp.org. We have a ton of resources there that can help everyone. We, for the spring, we have our spring safety guide and the household safety checklist as well, which we just put up with the help of our Poison Center educator. And we have direct links to the American Association of Poison Control Center, which provides a whole host of other resources as well. So, we're in the works of doing that. We're trying to, get out there in the community. It's been really hard, obviously, with COVID, not being able to do as much direct outreach as we normally do with schools and public health agencies, but we're making do right now. And saliently, National Poison Prevention Week was actually last week, from the 21st to the 27th, which was awesome. So the whole theme was prepare, prevent, and protect. And we had a Facebook Live event. We're on social media as well. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Just search for us and follow us, and you'll get all the recent updates that we let Michiganders know.
Dr. Vohra with us here on the Megacast. He's the Academic Director and Clinical Toxicologist for the Michigan Poison Center. And Doctor, when you say prepare, are there things we should have in our houses in the event of an emergency?
I think having, the most pertinent thing for me would be having direct access to the Poison Center. Being, in your speed dial or in your cell phone, direct access to that number, I think, it can save a lot of time, because sometimes people have a million things in their heads they can't remember this, or they're looking for the number, right? So having that ready to go, I think preparing and prevention kind of go hand in hand with, making sure that medication bottles are up and away from children. Remembering that the caps are not child-proof, they're child-resistant, right? So people can still get into them, just making sure that they're tightly on and away from children. Making sure that things are out of reach and just in there where they're supposed to be, in cupboards and drawers and whatnot, especially those cleaning products, especially in the kitchen and the bathroom. And just, making sure that you're keeping an eye on your kid. I know that they get into a whole host of things, but those are kinds of the easy, low-hanging fruit things that people can do that don't take a lot of time. But I think keeping that Poison Center number handy, whether it's on a fridge, we have magnets, all sorts of merchandise, but keeping that number in your phone is huge.
I'm going to program it in my phone as soon as we get done here, because that is so important to know, and I never thought about that before. With that, we know it's springtime. More people hopefully are going to be getting outdoors, enjoying the weather after this winter. But how do you know what's poisonous outside and what isn't?
That's the conundrum, right? So it's very hard. I mean, even with something like mushrooms, the mushroom season is coming up, April, May time. So, the morels, especially, that's a big thing, especially in Michigan. So there's a difference between true morels and false morels. So the false morels can be highly toxic, but they look very much alike. So things of that nature, we always encourage people to call the Poison Center first if they want more information, or people who are into foraging, making sure that you are doing it in the presence of an expert, or consulting an expert before going ahead and do it. There's an old saying, there are old mushroom foragers and bold mushroom foragers, but there's no old, bold mushroom foragers. So that's something that we keep handy as a kind of an axiom in the Poison Center. So knowing the differences is very hard, and we don't expect the lay public to know those differences and distinguishing factors. So always call the Poison Center, or at best leave it be, and make sure you're consulting an expert before you get into anything like that. We have venomous snakes as well in Michigan. The only venomous snake native to Michigan is the eastern Massasauga snake, which can be found mostly in swamplands and grasslands and prairie lands, things of that nature. Always being on the lookout, having the Poison Center number handy. That in that instance, in the event of a snake bite, call 911. They will call us as well, and we'll be made aware of it. But doing things, making sure that you're not doing certain things. Do not suction it. People, what they've been traditionally taught is to suction snake bites with either orally or to wrap a tourniquet around snake bites. Do not do that, because that can actually cause more harm. So berries as well, choking hazards for kids. Staying away from them. it's always abstinence is probably the best advice. Is when you see things and are unsure, call the poison center or just avoid it completely, and we can help along with the identification.
So what type of trends are you seeing over the past year with the pandemic?
Hand sanitizer ingestions have gone way up. Cleaning products in general, disinfectants, hand sanitizers, and the complicating factor with hand sanitizers during the pandemic is that they've been contaminated with a lot of other products such as methanol, which is a highly toxic alcohol, which can lead to a whole host of issues and vision problems. It can even cause blindness. It has been responsible for some deaths as well. Isopropyl alcohol is basically the main ingredient that you'll see in a lot of rubbing alcohols. That can cause a lot of irritation in the throat and the GI system. So we've seen a lot. They've just been available a lot around the household because of the pandemic. So with that, inherently, the risk is going to go up, especially access with children, which can be pretty devastating. It doesn't take a lot for that to cause a significant toxicity. Hand sanitizer in general can contain ethanol as well, so just basic alcohol, which can cause inebriation, sedation. It can cause vomiting, especially in children. So we're seeing that a lot. We've seen that quite a bit in the past year.
Is there any danger to leaving it in your car, especially in the summer months?
I mean, typically we don't recommend it. Keep it usually, covered either in the glove compartment. Again, there's always a risk, especially if you have kids, if it's just out and about, or even animals as well. But typically we recommend them keeping in the glove compartment or in sort of the middle console. But yeah, you don't want the thing to overheat, especially in plastic as well. If, with the potential there for the plastic to kind of get compromised. But otherwise, we typically recommend them being in a safe stored compartment.
Dr. Varun Vohra with us here on the Megacast. He's with the Michigan Poison Center. And Doctor, we're talking a lot about people and kids. What about our pets? Should we call the Poison Center for pets as well?
Yeah, so we can handle some pet exposures. We have some trained staff who can help with that, but things that require higher level care or more specialized or nuanced care, we have direct access to all the resources for the pet poison helpline. So if you just call our number, we have all those resources ready to go, and we can provide them to people whenever they need.
Because we know so many dogs get out right now, this time of year, cats as well, strolling through the neighborhood. We have this cat in our neighborhood, and it's just like, whose cat is that? It has a tag. It's usually laying on top of my car. But when they get out, there are so many things that they can get into right now. But also, I always worry about them. My other Cocker Spaniel, one time she picked up a frog and then started foaming at the mouth because whatever the frog was or toad was releasing. And so we forget about our pets as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially, like I mentioned with Easter right now, with the chocolate's going to be, the candies and whatnot are going to be abound or plentiful. So, yeah, always look out for that and call us. I mean, we have those resources and we have trained staff who can help. And if they can help specifically with the specific exposure, we have direct access to the people who can help.
So recently we've been seeing a lot of recalls going on for various things. What should you do if you already have one of those items? I know a lot of times it's like, hey, this batch number, check it. But so many times I'm like, well, I already cooked it and ate it. So, does it make you, if you are not feeling the effects already, you're probably in the clear?
You'd hope so, typically. I mean, there's only very few things that, would take a long time, more on the order of days to produce a significant toxicity. But the things that we recommend typically with consumers is stop using them immediately, get rid of them. If you want to do more research, look at the specific batch numbers if that information is available. But all in all, stop using it, discontinue, get rid of it, call your healthcare professional. If you do have any symptoms, your healthcare provider, you can go to your local pharmacy as well if you want more information. I'm sure the pharmacist there can help as well with identifying certain products. There was a recent recall of an alkaline water called Real Water in kids, especially late last year, which was leading to a lot of liver issues. So the brand is called Real Water. So if anyone's got that, discontinue use immediately. Do get rid of it. Do not use it because it has shown significant toxicity in kids, typically around 7 months to 5 years old. They were exposed, so they were having some liver issues. So yeah, I mean, those are the recommendations that we have generally for the civilian population, is just if you have it, don't use it anymore. If you have any symptoms, call the poison center or go to your healthcare provider immediately.
Doctor, always great having you with us here on the show. Just another minute or two before we say goodbye. Anything maybe we didn't touch on that you want to share with the public before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I mean, the universal risk, I mean, with Tide Pods especially, again, keep those in their packaging. They can be really colorful. They're attractive to children. They can cause a lot of irritation, vomiting, and throat irritation, and toxicity in kids. So always keeping those up and away in their sealed packaging, the child-resistant packaging. From a Michigan public health perspective, there is something on the radar called Delta 8 THC, which is, when you think of marijuana, the active psychoactive component is Delta 9 THC. So there's a new sort of compound out there, relatively new, that's not been on the radar for some time. It's Delta 8 THC, which has been it has been present in Michigan, being sold in vape shops as disguised as CBD-like products. There have been issues in recent states and nearby states where exposures to children have led to ICU admission from exposure to the Delta 8 THC. So for people to be on the lookout for that, we're working with MDHHS on that, and we've notified them. So we're working hand in hand with them to kind of increase and disseminate that message. But otherwise, follow us on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, mipoisonhelp.org, and our number is 1-800-222-1222.
Doctor, we so appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too, and have a safe and healthy weekend.
You too. Take care.
Dr. Varun Vohra with us here on the Megacast. He's the Academic Director and Clinical Toxicologist for the Michigan Poison Center. Again, the number 1-800-222-1222. So important to put that in your phone, because in those moments when panic sets in, you don't want to have to try to search for the number. So put it in your phone. Hopefully you never have to use it, though.
Yeah, hopefully you don't ever have to use it, but if you do need to use it, those seconds count, those minutes count, and getting in contact with an expert could potentially save your life or your children's lives or your pets' lives or someone else's life.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. When we come back, we'll be speaking with JVS Human Services. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
In times like these, we have to believe in each other.
And we believe that you'll do the right thing
when it comes to stopping the spread of COVID.
Follow the 3 W's.
Wear a mask.
Wash your hands. Watch your distance.
And when it's your turn to get the vaccine, take your shot.
It all comes down to the golden rule.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
We're so close, Michigan.
We can do this together.
Quitting smoking can improve your health, but it also protects your loved ones from secondhand smoke. Did you know there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke? Smoke from cigarettes, e-cigs, and hookah can travel through ventilation systems and harm those around you. So clear the air and stop secondhand smoke. Call the Michigan Tobacco Quit Line at 1-800-784-8669. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studios with Mr. Tyler Keefe. Just so you know, you can always catch us live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon. You can watch and listen on Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access. If you have cable, thank you. A portion of your fee helps support programming such as this. You can catch us on Channel 15 if you have Comcast, 99 on AT&T. You can also listen to us on the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Beth. So many people right now still struggling with employment throughout the pandemic.
Yeah, employment's been a big issue. Finding staffing has been a big issue, too, for a lot of businesses as they go forward in this pandemic. As we slowly emerge out of it, but we still have some concerns in place as well.
Well, we're lucky to have this next organization with us here, Inspiring Hope, Unlocking Potential. That is their mantra. With us now, let's bring in Lillie Sorrell. She's the Vice President of Vocational Services at JVS Human Services. Lillie, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Happy Friday to you.
Yes, indeed. It's been a nice long week, but we're glad to get to Friday.
A nice long year. How are you doing, and how is your team doing?
Our team is hanging in there as best as they can, still coming to work, still providing services out in the community, and with a smile on their face.
So for those not familiar, I know we've had some members of your team on the show before, but for those that may not be familiar with the JVS Human Services, give us a background on your organization.
Our organization has been around over 75 years, and we provide a variety of services for people that may be displaced from work and also may need help finding work once their career has ended in one particular area. We provide rehabilitation services through our rehab programs, and we also provide vocational services, which that's the program that I happen to be over for skill building, where we allow our participants to go out in the community and provide services for other human service agencies through building their skills with meaningful volunteer work. And we also have a program that's called Supported Employment, where our participants are able to work out in the community and make a good living wage at some of our sites that we have.
How important, you guys are pretty much covering the gamut, right?
Indeed, we're pretty well-rounded.
So with that, tell us what services are used, like you're with the vocational side.
Yes.
What are some specifics? What are you looking for, and how do you train people for new jobs?
When we decide to place people in jobs, they typically are coming from our skill building program, where they have gone out previously and worked at volunteer sites where they're building their skills while they're working at the volunteer sites for some of the sites we may have contracts with, where they will get paid. And the variety, most of all of our sites, they start at minimum wage and more. And so they get an opportunity to work at volunteer sites to build on their skills for the particular site that they may want to work at, where they will get paid. And so besides us finding sites, locating sites, and getting contracts with site, it is about the participant choice as well. Most of our sites provide opportunities out in the community for work as janitorial. But then we have other sites where we do some packaging, and we also do dining room services as well.
So what's it been like in the middle of the pandemic? Is the need greater or less right now?
When the pandemic first hit, a lot of our sites were closed down out in the community for employment. When they started opening back up, we were able to get some participants to go back out and work at the sites. And what we have found is that many of our sites, our volunteer sites, some of them are still closed. They're slowly opening back up. But we also have state and federal sites where they never closed down. And many of our participants in our program, they were considered essential workers. So they continued to work. We had letters for them to be able to be out in the community, to come to our agency and get provided transportation to our employment sites. So because of the type of work that we provide, janitorial, we were even able to provide extra cleaning services because people wanted everybody to be safe that were having to come into their buildings and work. And so there was an increase in some of our janitorial services because of the pandemic that we were going through.
Lillie Sorrell with us here on the Megacast. She's the Vice President of Vocational Services for JVS Human Services. How are your team members doing? Because are they exposed more? Because they are having to go out and they're on the front lines.
Well, our team members, that's our staff and also our participants. We had our senior vice president who worked along with her committee to develop a safe guide, work guide for people who come into the building and also go out of the building. So we have a lot of precautions that were put into place that was directed and guided by the CDC rules and regulations. So what we do is we supply masks for people going out or coming into the building. We also have people, they are safe distances. Our vans, we had to install what we call sneeze guards. We only have one person sitting on each seat in our vans because that's how we transport. And if we're able to also, our staff will wear a mask and also a shield if that makes them feel more comfortable. And we do safe distancing, social distancing. We do all of what's recommended by CDC. So our staff feels quite comfortable. They're still coming to work. We also do random testing with our staff as well. And because vaccinations now are available, it's not mandated, but we are encouraging staff to get their vaccination as well.
So Lillie, we've been hearing from so many companies that are saying they're struggling getting employees. Are you finding that with some of the partners that you have been working with?
Yes, we have from time to time, even before COVID, we have from time to time filled in where some of our contracted sites were not able to have their own employees come in and work. And so we have filled the void many times. And especially during the time with the pandemic, we have had our program participants go out and fill in the void and to help assist whatever work was needed for that particular contracted site.
Lillie Sorrell with us here on the Megacast. She's the Vice President of Vocational Services for JVS Human Services. How do they get to become a participant in your program? Do they have to apply? Are there certain things you're looking for?
To become a participant in our program, first and foremost, you would have to be a part of the community mental health system. And we have programs in Detroit and in Southfield. And for Southfield, it would be through the Oakland Health Network for Southfield. And for Detroit, it would be through the Wayne County Health Network. And so you would have to be a part of the community mental health, whether it's Detroit or Southfield, Oakland or Wayne County, and you would do that by contacting the phone numbers for those particular counties to see if you qualify. The most qualifying factor is to have Medicaid. And then once they are qualified through the particular counties that they apply for, then they would be able to say whether or not they want to go to JVS or they want to go to another particular agency. And if they decide to come to JVS, then we have an intake process. And we would intake them into the program. They would have to supply a significant amount of paperwork that we usually will get from their supports coordinating agency. And then they would be allowed to be in the program if they fit the criteria and the eligibility for the particular program.
About how many people do you have in the program?
Right about now, due to COVID, for both programs, we have about 120 people in program.
That's quite a bit to manage, right?
It is, but we have supervisors that work within the program as well. They're called navigators, and they all have a caseload that they manage. And right about now, they're somewhere around 36 to 37 per person for each staff that they manage the caseload, along with managing the sites and managing our staff as well.
So, Lillie, I know that you guys also help out the Salvation Army. How do you come together to build those partnerships?
We have a person, her name is Kim Towns. She's the community integration specialist, and she goes out in the community and look for other human service agencies that we're able to work with.
How important has it been throughout the pandemic to build those relationships and keep them going as well?
It's been very important to keep those relationships going, especially I
think we lost your audio for just a second there, Lillie. If we can have you maybe check it. I don't know if when you were moving your camera, if possibly you hit a mute button. Yeah, let's see. How about you want to take a quick break and see if we can get her, or?
Yeah, we can take a quick break here, just a moment, and see if we can get Lillie's audio back. We'll take a quick break and we'll return after this. You're listening and watching the Oakland County Megacast.
Over a decade ago, the journey to a COVID vaccine began. Building upon research on other coronaviruses, scientists continued with months of research and development, 3 phases of clinical trials with tens of thousands of diverse volunteers, then peer review and authorization to deliver a safe and effective vaccine that will protect all of us. Discover the facts for yourself at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine.
Quitting smoking can improve your health, but it also protects your loved ones from secondhand smoke. Did you know there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke? Smoke from cigarettes, e-cigs, and hookah can travel through ventilation systems and harm those around you. So clear the air and stop secondhand smoke. Call the Michigan Tobacco Quit Line at 1-800-784-8669. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days. The path back to celebrations with family. Nights out on the town with friends. Game days with your favorite sports teams. And the thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful, because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Great to have you back with us here on the Megacast. We were speaking with Lillie Sorrell. She's the Vice President of Vocational Services over at JVS Human Services. A little technical glitch there, but we have you back, Lillie.
Yes, I'm back.
When I was working from home, that used to happen to me all the time because I had an external mic hooked up, and if I even blinked, the camera or the mic would go out. Mm-hmm. So we're used to it here. It's the new world, right?
Right. A world that eventually, hopefully, we will move out of.
We miss those in-person conversations.
We do.
Yes, we do. We'll be glad to get back into in person. I am working from home today, but I have been going in the building previously. But today I am working from home.
Lillie Sorrell.
My wonderful internet.
Okay, so you're a little choppy right there, Lillie, so we'll just go ahead. Before we say goodbye to you for the day, anything that maybe we didn't touch on that you want to share with our audience before we leave you today?
Yes, I just wanted to also share that the participants in the program, they really enjoy providing the services to the people that they pass out the meals to, from Meals on Wheels and Salvation Army. They spoke on how wonderful it makes them feel and how they feel like they're really a part of the community and they love being able to give back to the community. They think that's very important, and they have stated that it makes them feel very happy to be able to do something for someone else.
Well, we know that your organization has been helping members of our community here in the Detroit area since 1941. You're an important part in helping so many people. If someone is interested in trying to find out more about JVS Human Services, how can they do that?
They have two numbers they can call. They can call the Detroit number at 313-833-8100, or they can call Southfield. That number is 248-559-5000.
Great. Well, we so appreciate your time. Lillie Sorrell with us. She's the Vice President of Vocational Services for JVS Human Services. Their website also, jvshumanservices.org. It's been so great having you on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and I was glad to be with you all this morning.
Well, best of luck to you and your team, and we wish you continued success. And hopefully the next time we have you on, it could be in person.
Well, thank you so very much. I would look forward to that.
Happy Friday to you. Lillie Sorrell, JVS Services around here in the Detroit area, helping so many people with employment issues and a lot of other things going on to get them back on their feet and support and lift up our communities. So please check out their services. We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast, and when we come back, we're going to be talking with the State Marine Specialist for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, because guess what? It is almost boating season.
It is. It's getting really close. It's big around this area of our community, and there's a lot of safety precautions that need to be taken out on the water, and things that we're not entirely aware of that affect the natural areas as well.
You know, one day I'll be excited if I can say I'm a boat owner. I have a raft.
It works. It gets the same job done. It's the same thing.
It's a flamingo.
Ah, okay.
But you're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. We'll be back after this short break.
Finally, I just got my COVID-19 vaccine.
I registered with my local health department and they called me.
I got mine at the pharmacy, and my neighbor got hers from the hospital.
I'm not a techie person, so I called the COVID hotline, and they helped me schedule an appointment.
Get vaccinated with the first vaccine you can. Protect us all.
Learn more at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. COVID-19 has caused many families to fall behind on finances and on groceries. But you're not alone. You shouldn't have to worry about putting food on the table. MyBridges offers access to quality food and income assistance to help families across the state get the food support they need. It's easy to apply and easy to start shopping. Apply for services at michigan.gov/MIBridges. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Great to have you with us on this Friday, April the 2nd.
Yes.
Spring is in the air. And you know what that means? Hopefully, we had an amazing spring and summer last year. The weather, for us being in the middle of the pandemic, we had a great season for boating season.
Yes.
Did you know there are more than 11,000 lakes in the state of Michigan?
I knew there were a lot of lakes. 11,000 is a very surprising number. That's a lot of bodies of water, but you know, we are the Great Lakes state, Ronnie.
We are, and especially around here, pretty much everyone I know last summer was out on their boat.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I was out on my raft, because we do have the sandbar here at Cass Lake, so you know, it's waist deep. You don't need a boat if you can get a raft.
No, if you can get a raft, get out to the sandbar, you're having a good time, Ronnie.
Plus, I don't need a license to operate my raft.
That too.
Well, with us to talk a little bit more, let's bring in Corporal Ivan Perez. He's the State Marine Specialist for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources for the Law Division. So great to have you with us.
Thanks. I really appreciate being here with y'all.
So give us an update. Last year, extremely busy on our waterways here in Michigan?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the boating industry measured quite an uptick in the amount of vessels purchased. A lot of new boat owners out there wanting to get out and utilize the vessels. Being obviously in a sort of a what the COVID atmosphere has done and made us try to perform our social distancing. You know, people decided to get outdoors and social distance that way. And at the beginning, boating was kind of on the chopping block, but then it came back, which was good and great, and people were able to get outdoors and enjoy it. And I think it's actually quite healthy for you to get out of the house after being confined for so long.
So I spent a lot of time out on the lake last year here at Cass Lake and Sylvan Lake. But when we talk about some of those new boat owners,
right?
Do they have to have a license before they hit the waterway? Because it seemed like there were a lot of people out there last year who did not know what they were doing.
Right. Well, you know, we do have boating classes available for everybody. It's not a requirement unless you reach a specific age. For vessels, you know, not personal watercraft, but for vessels, those that are less than 12 years of age can operate a motorboat if it's less than 6 horsepower without any restrictions, but those are few and far between. They can operate a boat powered by a motor more than 6 horsepower, but no more than 35 horsepower if they've been issued a boating safety certificate and have it on board and are directly supervised on board by someone at least 16 years of age or older. And they may not operate a boat powered by a motor of more than 35 horsepower legally under any conditions. Those born on or after July 1st of 1996 may operate a boat legally only if they've been issued a boating safety certificate and have it on board. And those born before July 1st, 1996 may operate without restrictions. So it's kind of like moving towards kind of like a driver's license where, you know, over time, you know, basically everyone will need a certificate of some form. And I want to add that our boating classes have resumed. So is our hunting classes too. Our hunter safety classes too have resumed with you know certain restrictions, obviously, And you can find those online at our website.
And can you take those classes online?
The boating safety class, you can. The hunter safety class, I think our boat safety class, you can. I know our hunter safety class, you can do a portion of it, but then you have to do what they call a field day, where you go to a spot and they kind of run you through certain scenarios, make sure you know how to handle a gun properly, and then take the test on site. But for boater safety, you can take the class completely online through a portal on our website, but I strongly suggest taking an in-person class, because you really just tend to learn more when you're hands-on.
Colonel, or
Corporal, I'll be a colonel.
Corporal. I'm sorry, Corporal. Ivan Perez, I just gave you a promotion.
Thank you. Tell my bosses, would you?
With the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. So if I can ask you, does this include jet skis? And
yeah, so personal watercraft are a little bit different. With the personal watercraft, you, wait, where did I have it? I just had this up here, obviously. And let me find it. The age difference is a little bit different.
Because it really seems to be the jet skiers are one of the biggest problems on our waterways.
And you say problem, but I don't know if it's a problem. They're just way more maneuverable and can pick up speed a whole lot faster than another vessel. So they can start, they can stop, they can go in a tight circle, they can go from a slow to a fast really quick. Because of that, and because of the nature of the personal watercraft, of course, the availability to have an accident or some serious cause of accident is evident due to their nature and experience, But those less than 14 years of age may not legally operate a personal watercraft in the state. Those 14 and 15 years of age may operate only if they've obtained a boating certificate, safety certificate, and they're either accompanied on board by their parent or someone who's at least 21 years of age, or they're riding the personal watercraft at a distance of not more than 100 feet from their parent or guardian who's 21 years of age. Those at least 16 years of age, born after December 31st, 1978, may operate a personal watercraft legally only if they've obtained a boating safety certificate. And so you got to pay attention to and being on the water is fun. I mean, absolutely, it's fun, and you gain a lot of knowledge, through a boating safety program that teaches you, the dynamics of a boat. Personal watercraft is a big example here or even boats in general. It's not like a car. It kind of drives like a car, but it's not like a car because you can't just stop on a dime. You have to think about your distance and the speed. A lot of personal watercrafts don't have an immediate reverse that you can switch into. And when you let off the throttle on a personal watercraft, you lose your ability to control the personal watercraft. So even though you've got your steering mechanism tilted to the right, you're still going in a straight line. And that's where a lot of people through inexperience have, bumps with other vessels or crash into a dock unexpectedly. So that's where the experience comes in and knowing what you're doing when you're out there.
Yeah, and how important too is it for people to really know the water and the area that they are going to be out on their vessels?
Oh, it's huge. Prior to this, I was in the Coast Guard for 4 years out of Bay City, Michigan, doing search and rescue. And a lot of times, and even my 25 years as a conservation officer, a lot of it has to do with some boating accidents are just not knowing the area they're operating in. Whether be they run aground on a hidden sandbar, they don't realize in the middle of the night as they're returning to port, there's a break wall between them and the channel, and they run afoul there. And so it is important. Or even something as simple as they experience a vessel problem or they run out of gas. or they're getting close to running out of gas, and they don't know which local marina even has fuel at where they can purchase some fuel or get some help. With this day and age with cell phones, that's great, but you can't always rely on cell phones for, reaching out for help in some instances, especially when you bring electronics to a wet environment, that can cause issues. So you always have to have a secondary plan. Don't go out there with just one method of help, which is why on certain, navigable waters, you're required to have flares and things of that nature. And it's very specific to the body of water you're at. Even things like local watercraft controls that tell you, hey, we have slow to wake in this area. You need to be aware of what these buoys mean, what the signs mean, so that you're not breaking any laws and causing damage in the area you're at.
Corporal Ivan Perez with us here on the Megacast. He's a state marine specialist for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Do you anticipate more calls for assistance and help on our waterways because more and more people, as you mentioned, bought new watercrafts, new boats this past season?
That's again, that all comes with the individual person and their personal experience with the vessel and what they encounter. One thing I can say, I was recently at a presentation from the National Weather Service, and we have all suffered, the unusual high water that the state's been experiencing, and you can see, massive erosion problems and things of that nature. I mean, docks are submerged because of the amount of water. They said that although and they usually do like 6-month projections, and right now they're projecting water levels to go down on the Great Lakes, maybe about a foot, but they wanted to emphasize we're still in the middle of a 5-year high. And so, although, it's some good news in the middle of regular bad news, but there's so many different things now that you have to be accountable for, your weight going over break walls, submerged docks. Sometimes these docks have electrical power to them, and they electrify the water around them, and that's kind of a hidden death sentence for people, if they enter the water and there's an electrical charge. That's why they don't let you swim at marinas.
So with that, I think I saw a recent article talking about the cutoff switch requirement. I believe this is a federal law. Can you break that down for us? What exactly does that mean?
So in 2018, the Section 503 of the Coast Guard Authorization Act required manufacturers of vessels less than 26 feet in length, and basically, anything that could produce up to basically 3 horsepower or more, to require an emergency cutoff switch. And what the cutoff switch does is it's attached to you in a link. Everyone's seen it. In this state, it's required on personal watercraft that, you have this little link. It looks like a little bungee cord or just a little cord. And it's attached to a switch so that if you leave the helm for any reason, either stepping away or get thrown off, that it'll kill the engine immediately. The biggest reason for this is because there's a phenomenon, we call it the circle of death. Sounds kind of grim, but it is. What happens is because of the characteristics of propelled craft that use a propeller, they tend to have kind of a clockwise, turn. And so when you let go of the wheel, it immediately wants to turn right as quick as possible. So it causes your engine to swing left, hit the back. It makes a sharp right turn, ejecting everybody out of the boat. Well, if it's in high gear, that boat will just circle around, come in a big circle, and unfortunately times either severely injure or kill people because they get run over by the boat. I think they said that a propeller, turning at 3,200 RPM can have up to 160 impacts on a person in 1 second.
Wow.
And so That's why there are states, we haven't basically gotten there yet. I could foresee it happening, like Texas has, where all vessels, under a certain length are required to have this emergency cutoff switch. So with that being said, emergency cutoff switches are required. I think in the middle of the 20 build year, they are requiring now. The new National Defense Authorization Act of 2021 requires that vessels less than 26 feet in length with that same horsepower or more have to use this link. So people are wondering, well, how do I know if my boat fits? How do I know if I'm required? Well, I sent the link to your producer, I believe. It's a great fact sheet. I don't know if you can make that available to your listeners, but if you can. And it's a great fact sheet that goes through all these things. It explains what a HIN number is, which is your identifier. It's a big, long number that's required on every boat. And it'll tell you how to figure out what year your vessel was built. And basically, most vessels built in 20 and now and newer will be required to have an emergency cutoff switch, and you will be required to be wearing that when you're going faster than slow no wake. Now, when we say covered vessels, these are vessels basically that aren't that are under 26 feet. If you have a cabin and your helm is within the cabin, that's an exception, and there's smaller exceptions. But for the most part, if you've got one on your vessel, you'll have to use it. And that's even for vessels that are made prior to that. If your vessel was made prior to this effective date, and it's not on there anymore, you're not required to have it on there. Or if it didn't come with one, you're not required to put one on. But if it does have one and it's in working order, you'll be required to use it when you're on the plane. And this is only in federal waters. This is not statewide. This is not inland. So basically, anywhere the Coast Guard has jurisdiction, you'll need to be, paying attention to this law, because they'll be the ones enforcing the statute first. And when I say enforce, it's probably, as with any new law, it'll be kind of we're going to teach you, kind of educate the public kind of thing. So.
Right, educate first and then later, find them down the road. It sounds like a very important safety feature.
It is, absolutely it is, and so we're always finding that delicate balance between too much restriction and not enough, and this is one that makes sense based on just the history of severe accidents that we've seen directly related to this, and this is nationwide, not just in Michigan, but nationwide. And so it is important. I think it's an important step.
Well, Corporal, we so appreciate your time this morning coming on, talking about this, because we know boating season is going to be very busy again this year here in the state of Michigan.
Absolutely. I wish everybody a safe boating season. Don't forget those life jackets. They are required on your vessels. We have a link also I sent you to our Michigan Boat Responsible Handbook that we have that lists everything you need to know about getting underway and the laws that are specific to Michigan. I would advise everybody to do that and take a boating safety class. Even if you think you know it all, you'll be surprised what you learn.
Well, we'll see you on the waterways. If you're out on Cass Lake, I'm the girl out there in the big pink flamingo.
You're targeted now.
Her name is Flo.
All right. Well, y'all take care and have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you again, Corporal Ivan Perez with us. He's the State Marine Specialist for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Law Division. We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast, and when we come back, we're going to be talking science. This is the Megacast.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too. Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and experiences connect through conversation, and it feels good.
This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too. Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together. Start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
Over a decade ago, the journey to a COVID vaccine began. Building upon research on other coronaviruses, scientists continued with months of research and development, 3 phases of clinical trials with tens of thousands of diverse volunteers, then peer review and authorization to deliver a safe and effective vaccine that will protect all of us. Discover the facts for yourself at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days. The path back to celebrations with family. Nights out on the town with friends. Game days with your favorite sports teams. And the thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful. Because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Happy Friday to everyone out there. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studios with Mr. Tyler Keefe. It is Good Friday, and it looks like after that little snow show that we had yesterday for opening day, the sun is going to return today, and we're going to have a great weekend.
Yeah, it does look like that. The sun's already been shining all day long over here in the greater West Bloomfield area, and hopefully we'll see those temperatures slowly rise today, and then of course be surprisingly rising over the weekend as well.
Well, a lot of people on spring break right now. It's a great opportunity for parents to get out and explore all of things that we have to offer in our own backyard. One of the gyms that we really do have here in Detroit is the Michigan Science Center. Have you ever been, Tyler?
I have. I've been there. It's been a while. I don't think I've been there since I was in like middle school or elementary school, but I've been there before.
Was it a field trip?
It was a field trip, yeah.
Well, we are lucky to have with us Anna Sterner. She's the Director of Programs for the Michigan Science Center. Anna, thank you again for being with us.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me.
I've become addicted to your videos.
Oh, that's so cool to hear. I'm so glad you like them.
So tell us, just bring us up to speed how things are going with the pandemic. I know the doors are back open right now.
They are, yeah. It's been a crazy past year, like it's been for everybody. So I think we just hit our 1-year milestone of when we did have to close our doors to the public, like so many other places last March. But we have been reopened to the public since July, and we have been so excited to see more and more people coming back through the doors as people are getting back out and finding things that they can do safely. So we're really excited to be one of those places that people can visit with their family, visit with their friends, and get out of the house, do something safe and fun, but also really focused on learning. Since school is really different for a lot of folks right now, I think that looking for these really impactful science experiences are something that people come here for, and we've got so much new stuff, so much fun things for people to do, that it's been awesome to see so many people back in the building. But of course, we do have our virtual programs still going as well. We know that people are still, cautious about going out, but we want to connect with people wherever they are at. So we do still offer our Echo Live program, which live streams to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel every single Wednesday at 2:30. So if you've been watching it, we do science experiments, we blow some stuff up, but we also like to show folks stuff that they can do safely at home. And since the weather's getting a little bit nicer, maybe they can do some of those bigger, messier experiments outside now that we're all getting this kind of inspiration with this shift in weather.
Yeah, because I'm wondering how many parents have had to clean up some of these science project mishaps throughout the pandemic.
You know, I've not gotten any messages yet. I've gotten a couple people who have said they've tried things at home, but so far no complaints, which is really cool. I think that's a huge part of science. We talk about it on Echo Live all the time, that science is about being messy. It's about making mistakes. It's about trying things you've never tried before. We definitely always focus on safety. We want to make sure that we're being safe, but being messy is what makes science so fun to me. That's definitely why I connect with science. I feel like I'm not afraid of making messes on the show, and of course I'm here at work, but my family will tell you that was me my whole life, and so I think I fell right into the right path here.
So with that, how is it working for people that want to actually come to the center? Do they have to buy tickets online, and are you limiting how many tickets are sold, like, per hour?
We do. So we work with a limited capacity of guests every day because we want to make sure that there's enough space here in the building for family groups to social distance between each other. That also means that we've limited the amount of tickets that we sell for each of our theater shows. So we do definitely recommend that you buy your tickets online. So if you visit the Michigan Science Center's website, or if you visit us on social, there's links to our website as well. So we sell time tickets. You sign up for a time slot to visit for the day, and you can also book all of your theater and additional experiences on the website as well. So we have our IMAX theater reopened, which has been awesome because even when we reopened to the public last summer, theaters had not yet been reopened for safety reasons. But now we've been able to do so safely. We accommodate distance between groups. There are limited tickets in those IMAX theater shows. And we're showing a movie right now called Superpower Dogs. It's really cute. It's all about dogs with jobs, I like to call it. So avalanche dogs and police dogs. It's definitely one of those things you should check out, and you can buy those tickets online as well. But we've also recently reactivated the space for a brand new experience. We have laser light shows airing in the IMAX theater now as well. And that's super unique. I think we're the only ones in our area that have a laser dome theater. I know that when I was growing up, I had seen laser shows a few times at other places, and I'm so excited that they're here. The show that's playing right now is Laser Motown, which is awesome because it's super unique to Detroit. So you can rock out with the whole family. It's one of those experiences that I think parents really want their kids to have as well, because it's something that I definitely grew up doing, but we don't see so often anymore. So you can rock out to music that everybody loves, celebrate the history of Motown here, but also get to experience, lasers and the science behind it while you're there as well.
So it's trying to have fun, but introduce them to science and get them excited about it. So hopefully they go into a career in the science field down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really what us in the Science Center industry are passionate about, is just causing these positive connections to science. I know that I fell into science because it's something that I loved. I used to like to go outside and collect rocks and bugs. I used to like to visit places like the Michigan Science Center when I was growing up. And I don't think I thought about it as the time as inspiring me to go into a career in science, but it definitely opened me up to the opportunity for it. I felt that it was something that was fun and not just like it was a class that I take at school and that I needed to study for a grade, or that like I was going to be quizzed on something after I left here. So we want to leave people feeling really inspired, feeling like they do science in their day-to-day life all the time, because we do. We're doing science right now. Getting more comfortable with technology, connecting virtually for things like this, that's all about science competency too. That's all about feeling confident in your ability with technology, which is something we try to inspire here as well.
Anna Sterner with us here on the Megacast. She's the Director of Programs for the Michigan Science Center. How do you come up with some of your exhibits?
With our exhibits here in the building, we are pretty fortunate to be connected to the Smithsonian now. So as we were recently recognized as a Smithsonian affiliate, that has been an amazing opportunity to be part of a national network of museums. And so it helps us to be connected to the Smithsonian's resources, like their science experts, to things like their traveling exhibits. And so you can expect even more exciting new stuff coming up since we've announced that affiliation just really recently within the last month.
So have you seen an influx of new people coming to the Science Center?
We have. This week has been awesome, I think, because the weather's starting to warm up and people are venturing out. And since we've announced so many new and exciting experiences and the Smithsonian affiliateship, it's been a perfect storm around here. So it's been busy because it's spring break. and it's been awesome to see so many people in the building, but it is still a safe and fun time for everyone to be here. So definitely check out our Instagram. We love to post pictures and videos if you're curious about some of the things that you can see and do while you're here. That's a great place to stay updated, learn about any sort of special upcoming events, like some of our new special events that we have going on this month for Astronomy Month.
So what are some of those events?
Yeah, so this week, or all month, we're celebrating astronomy. And we actually have a brand new exhibit called Earth, Wind, Weather, which was funded by General Motors. And so it's the perfect month for us to celebrate all things related to Earth, wind, weather, and even leaving Earth and talking about outer space. So we are having a special preview event on Saturday, April 24th, where you can come see our brand new exhibit. And there's going to be all sorts of hands-on space science activities going on as well. I actually brought one. Would you like to see the one that I brought to show you?
Absolutely.
So I brought with me what we're calling tornado spin art, because the highlight of the Earth, Wind, Weather Gallery is actually a giant 12-foot tornado that you can reach into and experience right here inside the Science Center. But we want people to be able to take something home. And so what we have to show you is, we call this tornado spin art, and we are going to make spin art inside a salad spinner.
I was going to say, isn't that a salad spinner?
It is a salad spinner. So you might have one of these at home. It's pretty useful around the house, but we're going to use it for science. So this is another one of those kind of messy experiments. But if you visit this month and you visit on our special preview day on April 24th, you can take home some special tornado spin art as well. So we'll have you drop some paper down into the bottom of our salad spinner here, put some paint. So I've got some pink, some blue, and everyone who comes in, they can make their own. You'll get to get creative with this project, because that's really what doing science is about too, is being creative and using your other skills. So if you are passionate about art, you will love this one. But basically, using our salad spinner, you go ahead and press on our lid and you start to spin it, which if you've been watching Echo Live, we talk a lot about physics, and salad spinners use an amazing force in physics called angular momentum in order to dry off your salad leaves that you put in here. So as it spins, it's actually rotating the disc in the bottom really, really quickly. And that puts a force on whatever you put inside. That force actually causes all of the objects, including the paint, to move towards the outside of our salad spinner here, which started off my design, and it looks super fun now. Go ahead and pull it out to show you. But we're calling it tornado spin art because the physics of tornadoes is exactly like the physics of a salad spinner that you can do with this activity.
See, there are so many creative ways to try to educate kids instead of just learning from the words on the pages of a book.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, if you have a salad spinner at home, you can definitely try that one out. But it does include paint, so I'm using a washable tempera paint, so super water-based. It's going to rinse right out of my salad spinner here, but if you don't want to do it at home, that's all more reason, right, to come visit us at the Science Center. Use our salad spinner. Make a mess here. Don't do it at home.
So tell us about the tickets. I know you can get them online, but do they sell out pretty quick? Can you get them like a few weeks in advance?
You can buy them weeks in advance, and I definitely recommend it. So if you, we are pretty busy on the weekends, and so we have experienced, especially things like our theater presentations selling out. So since we're working with less seats that we're able to seat to make sure that everyone feels safe while they're in watching one of our movies or seeing a laser light show, those types of experiences do sell out relatively quickly. So if you're thinking about visiting, now would be a great time to reserve your tickets to come visit us on April 24th, that really special day for us, where we'll have all sorts of space science activities going on, both in the building, but also outside on our sidewalk. So as long as the weather is nice, which fingers crossed, I know we're all hoping for good weather from here on out. We've had plenty of winter, at least in my opinion. But we'll also have our telescope collection out on the sidewalk. So you can actually take a look at the sun safely using one of our solar telescopes that day as well. So we've got special filters. Of course, never ever look right at the sun, or never look at the sun through any sort of device without a special filter on it. But we'll be teaching people how telescopes work and giving them the experience of being able to see what the sun looks like, which is a pretty unique experience if you've never actually gotten to see it before.
That is so cool. Anna Sterner with us here on the Megacast, Director of Programs for the Michigan Science Center. Anna, one of my favorite apps is Skyview on my phone.
Yes.
It's like a planetarium in your phone. It's so amazing, except for sometimes when I'm using it at night. I'm walking the dog, so I'm not paying attention. And I've tripped a couple times. Like a few weeks, back in February, I went flat face right into a big old snowbank.
I can relate to that. I definitely have, when I travel, I think that's my favorite time to use apps like that because the sky can actually look pretty different depending on where you live. I know that we make a trip up to the UP every summer with our traveling science program, and I am glued to my app while I'm up there because the amount of stars that you can see in the Milky Way and the amount of objects you can see out in the sky is so incredibly different than what we're able to see here in Detroit with the bright city lights around us.
It is so amazing. It really is. Hey, Anna, quickly before we let you go, though, are you guys going to be doing any summer programs this year?
We are. We're actually ready to announce that we are doing in-person summer camps this summer. So in addition to being able to visit with your family, we are also having Summer of Science camps, or what we call MySci Spark camps for 1st through 5th grade students. We'll be working with the same safety measures that we work with all our other guests to make sure that campers are able to come visit safely. But if you're looking for a camp experience where your student will really get to immerse themselves in everything that the Science Center has to offer and try out some of our really fun activities around space science or engineering or invention, you can visit our website to find out more and find out how to register for those. So those will start at the last week in June and go all the way through summer. It'll be 8 weeks of summer camp. You can sign up for all 8 because every week will be entirely different.
So with that, too, before we say goodbye, how can people watch some of the previous videos that you've been doing throughout the pandemic?
In 2 ways. So the best place to do it is either on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. So if you do a search for Michigan Science Center on either Facebook or YouTube, you can watch every past episode of Echo Live. There have been over 115 episodes now, and I think all of them are super fun. Some of them teach you science you can do at home, but other ones, if you're looking for some maybe combustion or fire, something a little more dangerous, there's a little bit of something for everyone on there.
Well, they are definitely fun. You're very creative, as well as coming up with the topics and filming them and getting the kids engaged and letting them have fun with science. So, Anna, we always appreciate having you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope to see you guys all again soon.
Anna Sterner with us here. She's the Director of Programs for the Michigan Science Center. Check them out. Get your kids engaged. It's such a fun place, and it's right here in our backyard.
Yeah, really fun place. A lot of different and interesting programs that they run there as well throughout the year to really vary what they're teaching a lot of these kids and adults as well and keep people engaged.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast, and when we come back, we are going to be talking to the president and founder for the Race for Immunology. That's next here on the Megacast.
In times like these, we have to believe in each other.
And we believe that you'll do the right thing
when it comes to stopping the spread of COVID.
Follow the 3 W's.
Wear a mask.
Wash your hands. Watch your distance.
And when it's your turn to get the vaccine, take your shot.
It all comes down to the golden rule.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
We're so close, Michigan.
We can do this together.
Quitting smoking can improve your health, but it also protects your loved ones from secondhand smoke. Did you know there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke? Smoke from cigarettes, e-cigs, and hookah can travel through ventilation systems and harm those around you. So clear the air and stop secondhand smoke. Call the Michigan Tobacco Quit Line at 1-800-784-8669. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or 2 or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Great to have you back with us here on the Friday edition of the Megacast. Just about 15 minutes left in the show, and it's just coming across. There's a new travel information coming out from the CDC just announcing fully vaccinated people can travel safely, but they are still recommending that vaccinated individuals wear a mask. So that's just coming out from the CDC.
Yeah, and we expected to have some sort of an announcement on that today. We had mentioned that in the beginning of the show during our headlines segment, and those details are available now from the CDC.
Just about 15 minutes left here in the show, and we are going to round out this week by talking about a very serious topic. With us now, let's bring in Evelyn Argyro-Castridis. She's the president for the Race for Immunology. Thank you so much, Evelyn, for being with us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So tell us, how did you start this nonprofit?
I started and inspired by my son. I gave birth to a son on July 4th, 2017, and I had a huge fight to get him a diagnosis. It took about 7 months of his life, him being chronically ill. So based on our experience with his rare disease and my experience navigating through his diagnosis, through finding him proper care, through finding an expert immunologist to properly diagnose him, I just decided what was lacking in the rare disease field, and I wanted to change it in any way that I could. So I founded Race for Immunology, where we support rare and immunoheme disorders and the patient population, as well as the research and education behind these disorders.
I'm thinking, as a mother, it must have been so frustrating going from doctor to doctor to doctor until you got the answers that you needed.
That's when I just started to throw myself into every emergency room and see how far I got. They all knew something was wrong. No one could tell me what was wrong. So a couple institutions later, and then me asking for an elevated level of care brought me to CS Mott Children's in Ann Arbor, who in all saved my son's life.
How is your son doing now?
Great. He is 2 years post-transplant. He had a bone marrow transplant. They diagnosed him with it's called Nemo disease, but it's really the NF-kappa B essential modulator disorder. He was the 22nd registered patient on the registry at the time during his diagnosis, but with further digging, he's the fourth of his kind of the string that he has, and only the second living.
Oh, wow. So with this, Evelyn, can I ask, what's the journey been like for you in connecting with other family members?
Well, it's very hard. So when you have an immunologic disorder or a hematologic disorder, you normally end up on the oncology unit at your local pediatric hospital. So a lot of cancer-focused medicine and cancer-focused programs. So having a rare disease that is non-cancer, you kind of feel left out because there's so many programs offering for cancer, and being non-cancer, we didn't feel like we could associate in those programs or have the same opportunities as these trials and programs. So it was very isolating. And then we transfer into this pandemic, which makes everything even more isolating. So we try to do virtual programs and in our community, and we offer a lot of gifting programs in our patient gifting program, our patient gifting fund. And that's where this book fair that we started, the Read for Rare program, comes into play, because a lot of the toy rooms are closed. Activity centers within the institutions are not running at this time due to COVID. So we provide, since last year, literacy program within these institutions, where we try to donate as many books as possible, because books provide an adventurous escape and take the minds off all the pokes, procedures, a lot of the therapies that our patients go through.
We're talking with Evelyn I'm just going to mess up your name.
Evelyn is good.
I will say that I pulled up the pronouncer and was practicing, and then you pronounced it differently than what the pronouncer gave me. So she's the president for Race for Immunology. And this is a tough time for nonprofits because we are in the middle of the pandemic. How is your fundraising going right now?
Not as well as we'd like, but that's okay. We did a virtual 5K that actually brought in quite a bit of money. So that was great. We just haven't been able to a lot of the in-person programs that we want to do. The in-person concert series where a lot of local musicians have offered to perform for us in order to raise donations as well. And it hurts, but we do the best and we spread each dollar as fast as we can. A lot of our focus and the program that all the donations, extra donations from this Rare to Read book fair are going to, that we're focusing on this month, is our genetic testing program. We provide genetic testing to patients with limited resources that cannot afford the out-of-pocket cost. Whether you're covered with insurance or Medicaid, we will cover those costs. So physicians have been contacting us saying, I have a patient who's about to go have a kidney transplant, and the family just cannot afford these costs at this time. That's when we just come in and cover all costs.
And have you found, even through your own journey, it can be just as frustrating dealing with trying to get a proper diagnosis as also trying to deal with some of the healthcare industry, providers?
Healthcare industry providers. Well, we've been very fortunate that my husband has stayed employed, the past 4 years while my son has been, we've been dealing with this through my pregnancy, We've learned the ways to navigate through the insurance to cover a lot of these things. How a peer-to-peer is mainly how you have to do it. You have to get your provider on the phone with the main insurance for that department, whether it be bone marrow transplant. Like, they have heads of these departments individually to go, okay, we will cover these costs. We do understand why we need to cover these costs. So we were fortunate in that sense, but many families are not. When our journey, my son had to fight for a diagnosis, then he also had to wait long enough to find a bone marrow match when we did bone marrow drives. And Good Morning America had shared our story at the time, and I had so many families reaching out to me saying, how did you find a physician to listen to you? How did you find a diagnosing physician? How did you get this genetic testing covered? So all this intake that I've taken from our patient population, I'm trying to fund these resources for them.
Yeah, I have a friend who she was diagnosed with a rare disease later in life, but still the journey of getting a diagnosis was years in the making. But in between, she's almost become an expert of trying to navigate the insurance world.
Absolutely. I call myself a medical mom because I did not know what a CBC with diff and a comp and all these types of blood panels and then genetic testing panels and all these tests and procedures. Now I know how to prime a pump, infuse IV medications from home, tube feeds. I know how to insert an NG tube. I do the dressing changes, things you adapt and you learn. And because of the severity of situation, you pick it up and you become a pro in your field. You become a pro in your disorder, which is why it's so important that if you have a rare disease, whether it's later in life, we have a lot of, our community right now is from birth to 55, but it's gaining because a lot of people are realizing that they do have a rare disease later in life and finding, which is hard on the adult side, finding an adult immunologist if you've had problems earlier that transitioned from a pediatric physician to an adult medicine physician. There's a lot of things to navigate. And we're hoping to eventually provide all these tools by building our community and broadening our disorder range, yes.
So when you have a rare disorder or a rare disease, how hard is it to get funding for research?
It's hard. You have to navigate through that. You have to find, if there's a certain medication that fits, other trials that fit. There is funding out there. There are grants out there. There are research and education grants. But what's important and what we found so important is partnering, again, with the education and the research side. The education, a wonderful nonprofit, the Clinical Immunological Society, they use their resources by providing extra education for physicians, which is so important. Our diagnosing physician had attended one of their summer programs. And with rare disease, you have to keep your mind open of what patterns can fit. So you can properly take all those patches and make that quilt a finished product and finding that diagnosis. Like, it's all about taking parts of what you could be having, whether the fevers, the rashes, and making it fit. And then the second part is the research side. And we've partnered with the North American Immunological, it's called NICER. It has a very long title, but it's a wonderful expert immunologist group, hematologist group, that they're really dedicated to rare disorders. They're really dedicated to providing proper care for their patients, and they've been wonderful. And we've partnered with them for this book fair. A lot of these, all these institutions have NICER experts in their immunoheme clinics, and they've graciously partnered with us to help us provide books to all of their clinics. We're in Phoenix, North Carolina, just joined North Carolina Children's University of North Carolina, Rainbow Babies, Cleveland Clinic Pediatrics, Wayne State Pediatrics, CS Mott, 2 local institutions here in Michigan. So we just want to spread some cheer while this pandemic is still going on, and hopefully for years to come.
So how can someone find out more if they want to be able to donate some books to your organization and help you guys out?
Well, it's really easy. We're at raceforimmunology.org. When you find the book fair, it's linked right there. You can go to raceforimmunology.org/book fair. You'll enter in the book fair right there. You can shop for yourself. You'll be taken to Usborne Books and More. They have graciously, they are powering this book fair for us. Stacy, our representative, is absolutely amazing. You can shop straight, and any dollar amount that you spend, 50% of that is earned in free books for the institution. Another way is you can make a straight donation. You can choose to pick a theme of books that you'd like to donate and choose any amount that you'd like. And 150% of that donation will be matched in free books and goes to the institution of your choice.
So Evelyn, just another minute or two here with you on the show. What advice would you give to other parents going through this?
Oh, hang in there. It is so tough. It really is. I've had a lot of downs and and thankfully now a lot of ups, but the last 3.5 years were very difficult. We finally found a medication that I inject, a chemotherapy that I inject into my son daily that helps him significantly dealing with his chronic GVHD of the skin and his gut. But my advice that I talk to every parent is 30 minutes a day, you need to take time for yourself. I spent 101 days straight in a hospital and never left. Until my son, I knew that he was clinically stable. I could not leave his bedside. So I know how important it is to just take 30 minutes a day for yourself, breathing, doing a little bit of yoga on the floor there, that is fine, but most importantly, try to get outside and walk.
Well, Evelyn, we're hoping that your son continues to thrive. He's so lucky to have you as a mom.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm lucky to have him. He changed our entire world. He let me find my own strength. He's helped me find my passion, which is this. I'm putting all my passion into Race for Immunology and hoping to help other patients in need.
Well, you're helping so many people through this journey. So thank you for putting your passion into that. And I have to say, Evelyn, tell us your last name again.
Oh, Argyrokastritis.
Well, that must have been fun trying to learn how to spell that when you were growing up.
Oh, actually, I used to be a Norman, and I married into that last name.
Bless your heart.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you again for being with us. We appreciate your time. And again, the nonprofit is raceforimmunology.org and then /book fair if you want to help them out. So thank you again, Evelyn.
Thank you so much.
Just about another minute here left in the show. Tyler, it is Good Friday. Do you have big plans this weekend?
No big plans this weekend for me. I'm going to definitely get outside in the nice weather and have a nice, enjoyable weekend outdoors, enjoying the sun, enjoying the heat that we're going to have coming because, Michigan springs tend to fluctuate a little bit. So enjoy the peak at summer as we enter into spring and spend some relaxing time in Michigan's outdoors.
So we know Easter weekend is this weekend, and a lot of families still want to get together. I know for us, we have so many members of my family have already been through the vaccination process, or, they've at least had one shot. So tomorrow we're actually going to color Easter eggs. We haven't done that since my niece and nephew were probably in elementary school, and they're in college now. But I feel like as adults, we have to up our game. So I've been on Pinterest because now I feel like I need fancy Easter eggs.
So what are you doing with these Easter eggs? You're bedazzling them? Are you hiding them, doing some sort of an adult Easter egg hunt? What's going on?
I know, and the thing is I don't even like hard-boiled eggs, so I don't know why we do this. But I feel like you have to up your game. You can't just take the crayon and, write your name on it.
No, you got to have fun with it.
Yeah. Right, little gold foil, and
of course,
make them some cool Easter eggs. But maybe I'll bring you one next week.
Maybe we'll put it right here on the table for next week's shows.
For everyone out there, though, we want to say thank you for taking time out this week to be with us. And, of course, thanks to Larry and Jake for all of your help and getting the show on each and every day. This has been the Megacast.